Tom, and good afternoon, everyone. Tom Goodwin is a past District 45 director and a member of two clubs in District 45, Mount Washington Valley Toastmasters and ABC Toastmasters. Tom has been a Toastmaster since 2007 and a Distinguished Toastmaster since 2011. Over the years, Tom has developed a passion for leadership development, including the launch of the District 45 Leadership Book Discussion Group and presentation on visionary leadership at the last district conference. Professionally, Tom works as a financial planner and private client advisor and holds the designations of certified financial planner, enrolled agent, and global financial planner. Today, Tom and the panelists will be discussing their leadership journeys, both within Toastmasters and with outside organizations. Topics will include team building, leadership mentoring, and major influences to their leadership experiences. Fellow Toastmasters, Tom Goodwin.
Thank you, Elise. Toastmasters has the tagline, "Where leaders are made." Toastmasters develops these leadership skills through our hands-on leadership opportunities. But we don't develop these skills simply to fill our own leadership roles. The panel today will focus on some of our fellow Toastmasters who have taken their leadership skills and have applied them to organizations outside of Toastmasters. On today's panel, we have Jenny Theriault, the Executive Director of Caregivers Nova Scotia. Jenny, would you like to say a few words about the organization that you're involved with?
Thank you, Tom. Sure. It's a provincial organization, and we support family and friend caregivers, so unpaid caregivers all across the province.
Thank you, Jenny. We also have Jill Kimball. Jill is the Community Relations Director for Amanuset Community Health Services. She's a founding member of North Country Pride, and she is the chair of the Resource and Development Committee for her local Boys and Girls Club. Jill, would you like to say a few words about the organizations you're working with?
Sure, Tom. Thanks so much. Good morning, all. I would say that for Amanuset Community Health Services, which is my regular, I would say 9-to-5 job, we are a federally qualified community health center, one of only about 1,400 in the United States. We serve folks in our region of northern New Hampshire, about 11,000 patients in 26 towns with integrated primary care, behavioral health, dental services, and serving all regardless of their socioeconomic status or insurance, which is great. So that's sort of my day job as I speak. For North Country Pride, it is an LGBTQIA nonprofit that I just started about 2 years ago. We got our nonprofit status, and that's really just to bring to light those types of things up here in our very rural areas. And so we've done a great job with that. And then for Boys and Girls Club, I've been on the board there for probably close to 10 years. And of course, we serve kids and great after school programs and summer programs.
Thank you, Jill. And our third panelist today is Jim Kokocki. Jim is a past president and board chair for L'Arche from 2017 to 2021. Jim, would you like to say a few words about what L'Arche is all about?
Absolutely, Tom. Thank you. I'm excited by this topic and panel today. So L'Arche is another international organization in about 40 countries around the world. And we assert ourselves in various ways. We work with people with intellectual disabilities. So here in St. John, we have a home where 5 people with intellectual disabilities live with 3 people who don't have intellectual disabilities, and they share life together. They shovel snow and they bake cookies and they make their meals, etc., mow the lawn. So they share life together, a very simple communal living environment. And we've also got a day program, an arts program here in St. John that allows us to reach people who aren't in our home and support caregivers and support people who are often isolated because of their intellectual disability, to come together and share friendship and laughs and make some art together. So happy to still be associated. I'm not on the board any longer, but I'm very proud of my continued engagement with L'Arche.
Thank you, Jim. Let's start with Jenny. While you're the newest Toastmaster on our panel, I understand that your Toastmaster leadership skills have opened these new opportunities to you on the outside. How has your Toastmaster leadership experience helped you in your new position with Caregivers Nova Scotia?
Thanks, Tom. Great question. When a leadership opportunity opened up at my organization, my first thought was that I could never do it, that public speaking and potential media requests just not for me. I was already a member of Toastmasters and my public speaking had already improved considerably, but the thought of a leadership role with even bigger, i.e. scarier and higher risk public appearances made me wary. As a stroke of luck, I was asked to take on the position in an interim role and was able to take a kind of practice run at the role before committing. This helped build my confidence in a really big way. I was able to lean into the skills I had learned and continued to hone at Toastmasters and decided, hey, maybe I could do this after all. When the opportunity arose to take on the role permanently and full-time, I was ready to say yes. I'm so grateful for the skills that I get to keep practicing at Toastmasters meetings every week. I've been in the role now for about 18 months and I've been managing pretty well. At the same time, I'm working on 2 Toastmaster paths, dynamic leadership and motivational strategies. And I love seeing how those projects parallel with my work life. I've been able to complete a few projects professionally and be evaluated outside of Toastmasters, which is helpful to see exactly how the skills we learn at Toastmasters translate. Most recently, our organization received funding for a major project funded by the provincial government. And when the project was announced, I received multiple media requests, including a live radio interview and a televised interview for the news. I admit these were incredibly intimidating and took all the courage I could muster to accept and make it through them. But after they were over, however, I was thrilled and relieved to see that these skills that I'm practicing each week at Toastmasters have become almost second nature when speaking publicly. So I owe so much and give much credit to Toastmasters for the ability to be in the position I'm in today.
Thank you, Jenny. Jim, would you like to add any to leadership experience helping in your outside position?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it always depends when you join a board, another organization, when you join another committee, you always need to assess what's the state of the organization, where they at. And I've got some surprises in other roles that we haven't mentioned today, but sometimes I've been invited to participate in a group that externally seem to be extremely professional and competent. And once you get inside, you realize, nope, there's issues here that need some structure, and teams need direction and common goals. So those things that we do practice within our clubs are small, not-for-profit organizations. Every one of our 16,000 clubs around the world, we've all got challenges. So I would say in general, the opportunity is to assess where things are at, determine what your role is, determine what the dynamics are of the team, and determine how you can make an impact. And if you are the appointed leader or elected leader, then you've got more clout than you would as, say, just a regular board member. But you always need to assess how you can make an impact. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Jim. Jill, do you have anything to add to leadership experience in your new positions?
Well, I think listening to Patricia, which was very motivational and perfect timing, I think for me, I think for probably a lot of us out there, it's not really a question of saying yes. It's sort of, when do you say no? You know, a lot of things get done in this world by a few people, it seems. And a lot of us who are involved in Toastmasters are the first to step up. And so I think sometimes we get asked a lot. And right now it's about kind of honing in on, of course, skills that I need to continue to grow in as a leader, but also to, you know, manage my time to saying yes to the things that I get the most impact for, or that the community I serve get the most impact for. So I guess that's really where I'm at right now, is kind of honing in on that part.
Okay. Thank you, Jill. Jill, the next question is for you. Team building and mentorship are very well understood concepts within Toastmasters. But when you go into outside organizations, not everyone understands these concepts. I understand you've brought some of these concepts to your community work. And would you like to talk about that?
Sure, Tom. Thank you so much. Thanks for the question. I think that for me, you know, there's countless, I can't say enough great things about Toastmasters and the leadership skills that I've learned over the last decade, but I think that there are countless projects that I've worked on. One specifically that I can think of recently was in my job, customer engagement, community engagement, but also internal team engagement. I started a project in March called the Gratitude Project, and it was based on a book called the Happiness Project, which was something that maybe a lot of companies use in order to foster sort of gratitude and joy in the workplace. And I wanted to take 1 month where we really just hyper-focused on gratitude and joy. Could we make a difference just by being joyful? Could we make a difference just in expressing our gratitude? And so in order to do that, we did lots of little things, you know, post-it notes of thanks and appreciation, boards for patients to write thanks and appreciation to our medical team, you know, a taco truck coming to visit, a haiku poetry project where providers and medical staff could write about their feelings on the pandemic. There were lots of moving parts to that, and I needed the team to be able to pull that off. But more importantly, we measured the success of the project, which after it was over, increased feelings of gratitude and joy in the workplace, and also peer-to-peer, and also from patients to staff, and also home by up to 10%, which is a lot, you know, when you think about it. And how could we keep that going after this 1 month was going? So we had to develop a team that ran across 5 of our sites. And I utilized a lot of the skills from Toastmasters that way, specifically, you know, just on how to set up, of course, to set up team building, but also empowering folks, listening, you know, really understanding how this gratitude group could best work for people who are in the trenches, not just from top level down. You know, what did they want? What did our teams want to feel gratitude and joy throughout the year? You have to set an example by motivation, you know, you have to empower, and you have to support. Those are the big things. And I'm glad to say that this little team is thriving now. They just had their first event, which was Chicken Soup for the Soul Days, where across the sites, folks brought soup in, you know, just to share. And it was hard for me to step back and not take control over every little bit of that. So understanding that most people want to shine, most people, it's hard for them to come forward. So when they do, you want to empower them so that they can have successes. It's not about doing everything yourself. It's about delegating and watching others shine. And that's really where it's at.
Thank you, Jill. Jim, do you have any further comments on team building and mentorship applying to the outside organization?
Yeah, it's interesting as well. So for me, team building is all about having common goals and simple goals. So I'm often working to simplify and to communicate end targets. So for Toastmaster clubs, I hope every club is trying to be a distinguished club, simple, achievable, recognizable. And actually I serve as a club president for a club this year, and I just talked about our club status, and suddenly one of the members completed a couple of levels in PATS. So when people understand where you're trying to get to, it's surprising how they can make contributions. So yeah, I guess I just leave it at that. For me, I'm always looking how to simplify things, make sure people know what's the end state we would hope to achieve, and getting agreement and alignment on that, and continue to communicate progress and recognizing behaviors and achievements that will make us successful in the long term. I'll leave it there, Tom.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Jenny, any opportunities to leverage team building and mentorship in caregivers?
Yes, thank you, Tom. We are a small organization, but we are provincial. So most of our staff are in remote offices in other regions separate from our head office where I am in Halifax. So it's easy to feel isolated in those roles across a province when you're working from home alone every day. So team building is really, really important to us. And so one of the things that we did, we have all the staff come together twice a year for 3 days of learning. And so we did together some personality tests with all of the staff. And I know that's not an original idea. Lots of organizations do that, but it was really helpful for us. We used a tree personality test. I'm not sure exactly the name of it, but interestingly, many of the staff were the same willow tree, I guess it is. In a helping profession, you do tend to see that, but not everyone. And that was really helpful for the staff to kind of see and, you know, relate better, because, okay, this person maybe does that because that's their personality type, sort of thing. So we found that really helpful.
Thank you, Jenny. Jim, the next question is for you. Your leadership within Toastmasters is well known within the district, but not as many people know about your work with the outside organization. Can you talk about what attracted you to L'Arche and who were influential in getting you involved?
Absolutely. We've got such an amazing network within Toastmasters, and it's worldwide. We've got Patricia here today from Ireland. So I got involved with L'Arche here in St. John because a former Toastmaster was the board chair. And he said, Jim, we need help with marketing and public relations. That's your expertise. Can you join us and help with that? 2 years later, he stepped aside as board chair and left the board, and they recruited me to be board chair. So I served in that for 4.5 years and stayed on the board after my successor came in place. And my successor is a Toastmaster friend named Dave Stonehouse, who I'd hoped would be taking this position on the panel today, but I'm happy to be here in Dave's absence. So I recruited another Toastmaster. So L'Arche has got meaning for me. I had an aunt with an intellectual disability. About 20% of the population have got some sort of intellectual disability, and parents and family members take care and love and respect their family member with an intellectual disability, and this touches so many people. And it's a stress for folks who need to determine, once aging parents who often take care of these folks or start to fail, where do they reside? Are they taken care of? So I had a personal interest. I'm sure many people on this call have got personal connections with folks who've got a developmental disability, but it was a Toastmaster who invited me to become part of the board and sort of tricked me into doing more work than I expected.
Thank you, Jim. Jenny, would you like to talk about what really sparked your interest and maybe a little bit on the genesis story of your involvement with caregivers?
Thanks, Tom. Yes. So for me, as I talked about earlier, I took on this role first in an interim position. And so that kind of gave me a chance to see what I would think about it, see how it went. And so a couple of the board members actually were really influential to me and really mentors to me during that kind of interim role process, and encouraged me to take on that role. So that was really helpful to me. But it's interesting because even in Toastmasters, as I took on the role of Area 9 director this year, and so similarly, seeing other folks in my Toastmaster club take on the role previously, those encouragements helped me to think, okay, maybe I can do it. Maybe it's a good opportunity to take. So that's really helpful and important to me to remember in the future to encourage others. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you, Jenny. Jill, would you like to talk about what sparked your interest and got you involved? Maybe a little bit more on North Country Pride and the Boys and Girls Clubs.
Sure, Tom. Let's see, what sparked my interest in getting involved in North Country Pride was seeing a lack of events, activities for LGBTQ youth, specifically up here in the North Country. We live in a very rural area. It tends to lean a little conservative, and a lot of our youth coming up identify as LGBTQIA, and a lot of them were leaving the area because they didn't see things that were hospitable to them, and so it became important for myself as identifying in the LGBTQIA group, and also for my son who identifies there, to show him that we exist and we thrive in all areas, and it's not necessary to leave and have to go to the big city in order to feel a place where you would feel safe and at home. And we've had nothing but incredible support from the community or the communities we serve on this. And the timing is fantastic. And the amount of youth that we've been able to help has been just wonderful, Let's see, in addition to that, for Boys and Girls Club, I had a child who was in the after school program. So that was an easy stretch for me to get involved and to make sure that that program thrived in our area. And then for North Country Toastmasters specifically, maybe some of you have heard that story, but I was working for a large national retailer, and they asked me to go on television to sell coins on the air on QVC. And I was very nervous about that, coming from Boston and having a wicked accent using my hands and, all those things. And I looked up public speaking and was hoping to maybe find a college course or some courses that this is before everything was online, before so I could go ahead and learn some skills on how to slow it down and to not say things like and ah and wicked, cool. And went to look it up and found out that there was a Toastmasters group right in my very rural area, and I never looked back. There's been incredible experiences that have come from Toastmasters for me. I recommend it to every business that has new onboarding of employees. The most incredible thing for me was really just putting together an agenda and keeping people on an agenda. I can't say enough things about that. I utilize that in all aspects of my life. And, it's just a very empowering thing to take control of a meeting that way and run the agenda super tight. I love it. I don't know why. It's great. So that's my experiences.
Thank you, Jill. At this time, I'd like to have a couple closing statements from each of the panelists. Jim, let's begin with you.
Sure, and I want to comment on what Jill talked about there about having an agenda and keeping the meeting on time. Those basic skills we practice at Toastmasters every week or every 2 weeks, depending on your club. They're just so valuable and so lacking in so many organizations. And I'll bet you, like me, I hear from friends who say, I went to my board meeting for such and such, and we talked for 6 hours and we got nothing done. We know how to get things done. We're exceptionally valuable. And I think the more exposure you get to leadership opportunities outside Toastmasters, the more you will value your participation in Toastmasters. You'll recognize what we talked about today is so true. The skills you're practicing: listening before you speak, speaking well, organizing meetings, staying within your time for your speech or presentation. It's so exceptionally valuable. So you folks have got extreme power, extreme skills, and there's organizations in your communities that really need what you've got. So I just encourage anybody who's not taking a step outside, take a step outside. You don't need to commit for 5 years. If you can commit to something for 6 months, give it a try, or a year. Learn, help the organization as much as you can, and you'll really treasure what you practice on a regular basis here at your club. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Jim. Jenny, any closing remarks?
Thanks, Tom. I would just echo the same things Jim's saying, and also the great presentation from Patricia. I'm incredibly grateful that I said yes to the opportunity, and I know that much of that is because of the experience and the skills and the growth that I learned here at Toastmasters. So I would encourage others to say yes. I love that Richard Branson quote at the end of Patricia's presentation. Even if you don't know, especially within Toastmasters, there's so much support out there, but even to support you in your work life, Toastmasters is there to do that. So I would encourage anyone to say yes. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you, Jenny. Jill, closing remarks.
Geez, I don't have much more to add, and I feel like I covered just about everything in my previous thing too, and then Jenny and Jim covered as well. Let's say the most tangible thing I can think of is put the Toastmaster bumper sticker on the back of your car. You will be surprised at how many people ask you about Toastmasters, and then you can give your quick elevator speech, and folks are mesmerized by it and then join. So I guess that's it. I can't say enough great things about it.
Okay, thank you, Jill. We actually have, I think, 5 minutes left. If anyone in the audience has a burning question for the panel, you could.
And excuse me, Tom, I just wanted to also say if they had a question for Patricia as well. Maybe we could.
Okay. Put it in the chat. Is that what we should do, Tom? Or?
Yes, please. That would be great.
And as we're waiting for questions, I'll give my closing remarks. To me, Toastmasters is a life-changing organization. First, we come to Toastmasters to change ourselves. But once we've experienced these changes, we need to reach out into the community and change the world. And I ask everyone to think about which corner of the world they would like to change, and just go for it. Tom, are there any questions?
Can I make a comment based on what you said? And I just encourage, if there's a part of the world you'd like to make a change, make an impact, you don't need to have it all figured out, and your Toastmaster Club is a great place to talk about, to change your desire to see. Just give a speech, talk about it. Don't need to pretend you've got it all figured out, but you might find some people in that group who are willing to help in some manner.
Okay, great. If there is nothing else, I'll turn it back to Tom.
Well, thank you very much. That was an awesome panel discussion. I really appreciate the support and the knowledge and the sharing of wisdom. It was really, really good. At this time, we are a little bit ahead of schedule, so I would ask that everybody please return if you'd like to take a short break for 5 minutes. Then if you could return in 5 minutes and we'll continue on with our presentations, that would be great. Thank you very much. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. How's everybody doing? I think we'll get ready for our next session. There are two options for this. First, Jennifer Bishop Smith will present Around the World. She'll share details on how this program helped her club and club members. And the second choice is from Robert McGuire. He will give us an overview of Robert's Rules of Order in the Toastmaster meeting. So at this time, I would like to cancel recording because I haven't done that yet.